elaborate the advantage and the disadvantages. He only talked of the bills that there are about 50, which would be part of the reform. But in any case, let's look at the 6-year single term, which, to be candid, if that can scale through and be accepted by the all members, it will bring a lot of sanity into the system, in the sense that what Nigeria is suffering now is the presidential system, which allowed a lot of wastages. If you can look at it, for the past 25 years now that we are handling uninterrupted democracy, the Nigerian population have not gotten what they want. Let me take a simple position of an NTA staff and now the labor that are doing this strike.
But let's just concentrate on these, on the
issue is the focal point is the 25 years in the democracy running uninterrupted. Still, it has not been yielding good results to Nigerians vis-a-vis the situation at hand. But the most important thing is, if the honorable members will convince Nigerians through public hearing, whereby people will put their inputs, and then to look at what these 6 years will bring to the benefit of Nigerians, is better than the 8 years which is currently being practiced. So what Nigerians need now is anything that will reduce a lot of corruption. Now,
do you think that with, with this bill, we are, on the way to, trying to better our lots in the country?
Well, Madam, the question is this. The honorable members only make a proposal. They need to convince Nigeria, as he said, that these are the advantage and disadvantage. It is from that we now draw a yardstick as to the benefit of the bill. Now, but for now, we want them to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank God he's here in the studio. So, now, Honorable Ugochinyere, now, the gentleman here, Abdullahi Jallo, has rightly pointed out some, flaws we have. Even in the 25 years of democracy, we've not gotten it right. Now, how do you think this proposal, will affect the effectiveness and stability of governance in Nigeria? Keeping in view what some of the things he mentioned. Yes,
flowing from what he said, convincing Nigerians to see reasons. I guess Nigerians are beginning to see the reason. We have tried, like he said, for 25 years since we returned to democracy, a presidential system that have not truly been presidential, have not truly been federal. Now you see the wastage that has to go with 4 years. Before you get to 4 years, by next year now, people start party primary campaigns and distractions and Congress. The governor and the president will start building party structures, putting party members ahead of another 4 years. But the other 4 years, they have not been able to execute what they're supposed to do. We now said, can't we try, let's remove these re-election issues. Let's elect a president for a 6-year single term. Once he moves in from the first day, he starts running. And how do you help him to start running? One will start by saying all pre-election matters must end 30 days to election. We don't want a president or a governor that once he's elected into office, he starts pre-election issue of who is the candidate of the party or venue of their primary. And also, when I said, once somebody is elected, that before he's sworn in, that the court should immediately round up all the cases pertaining to the issue of who won the election. So that once he has sworn in, even if you want to betray your godfather, that is your business, the most important that you have all it takes to do a 6-year uninterrupted program of development for the country. And that's when I say we have to tinker with the timetable to accommodate early election and early resolution of post-election litigations. And we also said for us to also move on that same page, that let us also remove the conversation and the energy and distraction that goes to which zone rules, who does not through the ethnic and religious division. And since we say, like the new anthem is talking about, that even though tongues and whatever would differ, yes, but in brotherhood we stand, that if indeed we are brothers, then we want peace and stability. Why not say power should rotate between north and south? once each of these zones have qualified people at any given time. Let power rotate between north and south. And when it comes to south, it goes around among the three geopolitical zone of that south and the other three geopolitical zone of the north. By so doing, both the minority and the majority, everybody have a seat on the table. And then we'll go past beyond the conversation of who rules or how he will rule or which zone to issues of pure governance. And in order to avoid interrupting this, 6-year single term rotational presidency, to avoid what happened when Yar'Adua died and Jonathan came on board and wanted to exercise his right, we now put a clause that protects everybody, which means if power goes to the north, it's 6 years and it can't be interrupted. If you go to the south, 6 years, it cannot be interrupted, even if the president dies or he's impeached. That's why we now created the office of 2 vice presidents. And you need to understand it from the context of there's no wastage here. The 2 vice presidents will be ministerial status. So once you elected a vice president from a state, there will be no other minister from that state. You are the minister from that state. And one of the vice presidents will come from the zone where the president is from. So he's just a succession vice president, doing his job as a minister, but a successor in the waiting in the event that the president is removed or the president dies, he is sworn in that next second. That means that particular zone will complete their term uninterrupted. And we also said part of the problem that have led us to bad leaders and so on and so is the electoral process that throws up wrong people. That let us now have all elections in one day. One, the country is suffering economic challenges, so we reduce costs. Instead of spending 400 billion naira election this Saturday, the other Saturday, we can do election in one day and cut costs. And the beautiful thing about election in one day, and I want Nigerians to pay attention to that, imagine election in one day. Supporters of the person running for local government chairman, supporters of the person running for state assembly, supporters of the other one running for rep, supporters of the other one running for senate, supporters of the other one running for governor, supporters of the other one running for president. You can imagine how huge the polling unit will be. Are they going to overrun them? But if you allow this staggered election, once a president emerges, you start seeing some people not even interested to vote in the next election. But if we bring out all Nigerians in one day, single day election, and look at another beautiful advantage. Once the election of the local government chairman or the House of Assembly person is announced, I hope you know the ceiling has been placed on accreditation. So you will not have this drama of by the time election gets to the next day when they are collecting presidential results, Rivers will bring 1.2 million, Kano will add it to 2.6. No, because that accreditation figure has already been announced, because you have used it to announce the local government chairman or the state assembly candidate or the rep candidate in the evening before going to presidential collection. So by evening, we know what is the total number of voters we have in the country, because you cannot change it. And also went further to now say that this idea of electoral officers announcing fake results and getting away, that let's put a 7-year imprisonment with option of no fine. That once you announce a result that does not tally with the total number of accreditation or does not tally with the vote cast, then you're going to go to 7 years imprisonment. And this time around, we're giving powers to those who lost the election as a result of your false declaration to bring action against you for that criminal act. That if returning officer knows that if you announce a fake result against me and I get the CTC or the beavers showing the total accreditation with which we now announce a false result, I'm going to come after you in damages. You pay me all the money I spent running that election. That some of them will stop this attitude they are doing during the election. So these are some of the things we brought in place to help to deepen the conversation. The conversation continues on. We should not be scared of talking. We should not be scared of discussing. Okay. What matters at the end of the day, how do we come up with a solution that is workable?
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable. We'll take a short break here and listen to some Nigerians on these reforms that have been presented by the members of a House of Representatives as put together by correspondent Thomas Agbetere. Don't go away.
In terms of elections spending, in terms of the INEC, so it goes a long way to reduce expenditure, and also it will even give the office holder, the intended politicians, to know that at least it has 6 years as a stretch to deliver. 6 years is enough to deliver in terms of thinking of the second term and all of that.
In the first place, I think it saves us a lot of time, saves us a lot of money, and whoever wins on that day is focused on the next 6 years. It's not thinking about second term like many people do. So some people won in 2023 and are already thinking of 2027. So I think you win once and you go home at the end of the day. So I think it's good for us.
Proposal is okay, but in respect to this country, there's going to be a lot of problem, because even conduct an election for president and other senate and rep in a day, we are faced many challenges. talk less of now conduct all the election in one day. I know it's not going to. It's something that's not going to possible easy in Nigeria.
It is going to favor us. I wouldn't mind. I would love it to be 6 years, one tenure, so that the issue of 8 years, one tenure 4 years, the other tenure 4 years, 8 years should be cancelled. The 6 years will be proper. So that you go there, you finish your one tenure, you go away. We look for another credible person that will come in.
I believe that if we have a single tenure of 6 years, it's the best thing that can happen to Nigeria. We end up spending less money to conduct elections. And if elections are conducted on the same day, governorship, House of Assembly, House of Reps, and presidency, it's also a good thing for Nigeria because we'll cut down on interference and everything that may drag us back.
Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the proposed political and electoral reforms as presented by some members of the House of Representatives. Now, I have two gentlemen, of course, here in the studio with me. Abdullahi, you heard the reaction of the people there, and some of the concerns were, you know, of course, a lot of persons say this is, you know, laudable, this is welcome, but how do we go about it? Now, how do you react to some of the...
Well, the fact is this. Where you put 6 years as a single term, as many says, is a welcome idea. But there is a need for clauses. Clauses in the sense that, one, we have to take care of given a program and a focus. The bill will include what is expected of an elected president or a governor or member House of Reps or Senate or even a councillor, what he should have, what is expected of him to do within the 6 years. Because you cannot just, what is affecting us now is even the 8 years, there is no clauses to support its existence. You don't govern like you give a person a job to do in a class and you cannot monitor him as to what he is going to do. Honestly, whoever proposes this bill is an excellent thinking, but there is a need for qualifiers. There is a need for some sort of guidance.
Now, Now, in your opinion, before you go further, now could this reform, you know, reduce the tendency towards corruption and, of course, this electoral violence we've had in the past? Do you see that addressing this issue?
Well, you see, where you see the point is issue, madam, where a term is already been tagged, there is no question of violence or corruption. The corruption is being taken care of what is expected of a leader or the person occupying the office to do. You will not be saying, okay, we have reduced 8 years to 6 years, one single term. What is important is that the person coming into the office, a governor or whoever, or the president, is expected of him to know that somebody is equally waiting for another 6 years.
Thank you very much. I have to stop here so that Ugochunye will talk to us more about some of the issues raised by the respondents there. Of course, some of the concerns raised there are very, very valid. Talking about conducting election in one day. We talked about conducting all the elections. You know, in the past we've had a lot of challenges in conducting, even the presidential election, of course, the National Assembly the same day. You see problems of logistics, a lot of challenges that we are yet to, you know, address in the present electoral system. Now, talking about conducting the entire election, you talk about local government chairman, councillors, and you know, state houses of assembly. How feasible is this?
Well, and I want to urge Nigerians, let's stop always sounding negative when we're having conversations on how to move forward, like saying it can never work in Nigeria. You know, good governance can never work in Nigeria. Fighting, so we must at times be positive. Here you see, what is the difference between the pattern we are using now, where you have National Assembly, Senate and Rep, and the presidency, that's 3 in one day, leaving just the governorship and the state assembly. So what we're just bringing, what you're just adding now is just the Guba and the State Assembly, and we just have 18 or so registered political parties. Even when we had 98 registered political parties, remember, INEC was able to still manage those 98 ballot paper sheets. So in this case, now what are you going to have? You just have just 2 additions, governorship and State Assembly into the matter. And then let me tell you this, what do you need extra to make this happen? Ballot paper, and then 2 ballot box extra. That's all you need. The human being is the same. 1 accreditation covers the entire 5 political positions that will be contested on that day. And then the same security and so on and so forth. So there's nothing we're incurring more except the extra cost for ballot paper and the extra cost for ballot box. Because if you look at what we're going to incur when you go separate Saturday, you do the ballot paper, you do the ballot box, you do the mobilization of security, you do the INEC staff. You see the amount of money they pay INEC staffs. All these things, we can even increase their welfare and do all these things in one day. So what I'm saying is that the nation has the capacity to get this process conducted in one day, because now we're gone electronic. Once you accredit, the candidate registers it, and then you go and vote after accreditation. So there's no big, it's not like we're adding a very big load on INEC. All they need now is just to make adequate arrangement for the crowd that will be in high number, because more people are going to turn up. And you can see participation in our election has started dropping since the last 10 years. You can see the number of people who, a plea need that have 1,000 voters, you see about 550 people voting. People are no longer interested in voting. So, but if you have all this in one day, the enthusiasm will be back. Citizen security will, because citizens will protect the polling unit because they have interest. I may have interest only in the local government or in the State Assembly candidate. You may have governorship, you may have presidency. Once we gather, you can see that those people from our village who normally overrun the polling cannot do that. And again, once they succeed in making sure that the first result is announced, which is the local government or State Assembly, accreditation all over the country is automatically known. And that's why we're trying to also legalize. There's a new addition INEC made in their card reader dashboard, which was used in Imo election, whereby as that accreditation is going on, the Beavers dashboard is recording the total number accredited. That was why when people upload fake results and say 200 accredited, the machine is beeping, it is only 10. We now want to make that legal so that as you're uploading accreditation figures, people can sit down here and see all over the 774 local governments in Nigeria, 20 million Nigeria standard. That means at the end of election, for presidential election, you cannot have more than 20 million votes.
Now, one last question, in 30 seconds. How might this reform influence social policies and long-term development projects?
You cannot talk about long-term development project when the position is talking about how to get his re-election. You can't talk about long-term projects when I'm thinking of how I'm going to put a borehole that is not necessary in this village just so that I can get them to vote for me. There's no long-term plan in a state of anarchy, chaos, insecurity, religious division, ethnic division, cries of marginalization. There can never be any long-term development. There cannot be any social development. That is why almost going to almost over 60, 70 years, we're still having this basic conversation. We have not gotten our security right. We have not gotten our economy right. We have not gotten anything right since 1960 to date. So let's find a way to have stability. I strongly believe, and most of our colleagues in the reform believe, that once you have governance stability, once you have this peace and stability and inclusivity, that this conversation for long-term development can be sustainable. Because at the end of the day, if I do a 5-year development plan, the next person that is going to win me in second term comes, reverses everything. But if we have a long-term development plan, 6-year development plan, each time anybody comes, once the next government comes, they continues on where the person stopped.
Okay, and Jalu, in 30 seconds, just
well, in essence, my bone of contention is on the running the elections for the whole country in one day. Look at how tactful the security are handling themselves, even with the days that we shall have the elections. And secondly, I am not from Bayelsa, but I know so many areas that are riverine areas. And incidentally, I was to do my service in Abagana in Anambra. For people to live where they are, to come and vote in a day for an election,
thank you very much.
It's very difficult.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Now, with this, we'll wrap up today's episode of Nigeria Today. I want to sincerely appreciate our guest, Ikagwanwu Ugochinyere, member House of Representatives. He's also a member representing Idiato Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. And also the spokesperson, Reform-Minded Lawmakers. Thank you so much for your time. And we had also Abdullahi Ibrahim Jallo as a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And thank you for being part of the program. I am Ikeria Clayton. Goodbye.